Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. We're back again with you guys for what is the 7th episode in our tactical breakdown series, and we look at the players which Arsenal are linked to, should be signing, could be signing, but ultimately it's just fingers crossed to see whether they actually do sign. But what we like to do is look at the players particularly that are getting stronger and stronger in the level of the links that are going on with the club. And the one we're going to look at today has certainly been getting a few more links over the recent weeks and recent days, it seems, with interest being rekindled by Arsenal and Emery in this centre-back. Now, just before we go into it, please, again, like and subscribe, because what I want to say is a huge thank you to everyone who's really been supporting the series recently. We hit 10,000 subscribers, which is an absolutely massive milestone for myself. It was grinding basically to get this channel from 6,000 when I took it from our good friend Craig to 9,000 subscribers with the help of my fantastic guests that we've had throughout the series. We finally got to 9,000 over the weekend, but then to hit 10,000 in just a few days, clearly with the support for this series specifically being the driving factor behind that, has been really overwhelming, and it's made me want to continue it, and that's why I have done. And I hope you're enjoying it. And if you're new and you're watching this, go back and check out some of the old videos that we've done for this series on tactically breaking down some of the players, the likes of Carrasco, Martinelli, Tierney, Anderson and Pratt. I mean, there's plenty for you to go and watch, so please do go check that out. Ryan Fraser's was yesterday, so go and check that out, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you have, please give them a like, please give this video a like, please comment, because the comments are really what I'm valuing most, from hearing you guys' opinions, hearing your thoughts, because the comments that I've been receiving have been so supportive, and they really do let me know that you're enjoying the series, and the feedback as well, so hopefully I'm taking that on board as well. But let's get straight into the video and talk about the guy that we've been linked to over the last few weeks and the recent days in particular, and that's the Spanish left-back playing for Espanyol, Mario Hermoso. Now, Hermoso is someone that I know a fair amount about, because if you check out in the description, my recent article, I say recent, it was back in December of last year, so just 6 months ago, but I identified Hermoso back then as someone who I knew would be getting a lot of interest in the summer. He's someone that came through as a player that was sort of going through Real Madrid's academy, and we know about Real Madrid's academy because in the last few seasons, until we've hit Galactico period again this summer, Real Madrid was sort of signing these players like Ceballos, bringing players through like Asensio. Yes, I got to the 7th episode before saying Asensio's name. Players like this, and signing players like this that were going to grow and develop, but still they did let some of their young kindred spirits slip through their net of their youth development system. Hermoso was one of those guys who moved to Espanyol, the underdogs of Catalonia behind Barcelona, of course, and he's really thrived in that environment and improved and developed to the point now where he is being linked with teams like Arsenal. So if we look at where he's at, he's a left-footed centre-back, and something that we've really desperately needed at Arsenal for a long time has been a left-footed centre-back. It seems ridiculous, but the last player that I can remember is Thomas Vermaelen. He's the last left-footed centre-back I can play, who ironically also went off to Spain, to Barcelona. Injury problems massive, and we probably didn't miss him as much as maybe we thought we would have when we sold him. But bringing in someone like Hermoso would really bring back some necessary left-footedness, shall we say, to that left centre-back slot, because that 4 at the back seemingly is what Emery is going to favour going into next season. I think that we all want to see us playing with a 4 at the back, because the 5 and the 3 has left us slightly more vulnerable with our wing-backs pushing so far up and the likes of Mustafi making calamitous errors. And that is why, ultimately, we need this centre-back bolstered in this position. So, he's 6'1" as a centre-back, which is a very solid stature in his height, which is exactly the same as Socrates. Now, Socrates is the guy that I want to compare him to. While Socrates is in his 30s now, Hermoso, 23, turning 24 this month. Very, very different, and they are very different in style as well, even though they are the same height. I still thought, as Socrates being arguably our best centre-back at the moment, it'd be best to compare those two. So let's look at how they are. Now, his biggest trait, I started off talking about Ryan Fraser yesterday, his biggest trait being his crossing. Now, long passing for a centre-back in the 21st century has been huge. Trying to get players in behind, starting attacks from the back, and spraying balls out to your flanks to get in your wingers has been really key. And Hermoso has really sort of acquired this trait, and he's equipped it to his game, and he's done it to devastating effect against the opponents that he comes up against. His long passing is stats that you can see on the screen now. 6.17 being made every single game on average, with a 52.2% record of success. Over half of his long passes are reaching their destination, and we know that long passes are a much more risky type of pass. And not only that, but you can see on the screen now an opportunity which arises. He either plays it straight through the middle, which is what you can see with the graphic there. Or what he does is he receives it inside from the midfielder or from his left back. He plays it out to his right where he's more comfortable to hit it on his right or his left. He's very good on both feet. And he sprays out in this example in the youth Spanish setup to Suso, obviously the AC Milan midfielder. And he sprays out in such a way which Suso is able to take it down and have the space open to be able to look for a cross for the two players running through the middle towards the goal. He's very much acquired and accomplished in this way. And his long passes is extremely accurate, and he likes using them more often. If you compare that to Socrates, he's doing just over 4 times per game, so two passes less in terms of the long distance wise, with a 47% accuracy. So it's still decent from Socrates, but from a guy like Hermoso who can use both feet to so much effectiveness and more often and more accurately, for me that is a really, really strong trait that he adds to his game. If we then look at the way that he uses his duels and the way he interacts with his challenges, the difference between him and Socrates, and I'm not calling Socrates slow by any means, but Hermoso has got some real speed about his game. It allows him to push into positions and catch players out. If there's a loose ball, he's on it like a flash, as you can see here. He's getting in, he's winning the ball back, and not only that, but his positioning allows him to get into there more advantageously. He's very spatially aware. He knows to be in at the right time. If we compared him to someone like Anderson that we looked at in a previous video, Anderson often steps out of the defence, eager to get the ball back. Hermoso is definitely more assured. He still needs to be more consistent in it for sure, and he's still going to learn that moving into his 24th year as a living person on this planet. But when he does that, and when he does develop that, the consistency will come more, and he will see that this trait that he's sort of developing over the last couple of seasons has really seen him being able to take the advantage over opposition forwards and wingers and get the ball first. And not only that, but then take the ball from them and look to start a play moving forwards, which for Arsenal, if we want to nick that ball, we want to nick it as much as possible, then we want to see this turned around and get our counter-attacks moving as fast as possible. So then if you look at the heat map and you compare the two between each other, if you look at Socrates, now Socrates has played across the back two, as we say, or the back three, so it's seen him be more spread out across the field for sure, but it's not intense. It's not a very intense heat map whatsoever, so he's not really moving too much. He's sticking to his position. He's just sort of, I don't want to say wandering around, but he is sticking to that position and marshalling that back line. Now, if you compare that to Hermoso's, the intensity is massive. He's energetic. He wants to get the ball back. He gets into positions. He tries to find a way to get in between the lines, to cut the passing lanes, to intercept passes. And then we move on and we talk about that. Interceptions are a huge part of his game. Hermoso last season was averaging 6.61 interceptions per match, whereas Socrates was only averaging just over 4.55. Okay, so you've got that huge difference in the amount, over 2 interceptions more per game for Hermoso compared to Socrates, because of his energy, trying to get in. He reads the game extremely well, finds the passes that are coming to him, and gets himself in the position to be able to intercept those passes. And his speed, again, really helps with that attribute of his game. So if we look at where that sort of leaves us and where Arsenal would be if we want to sign this guy, there is a sort of a complication in how much he would cost us, because whilst he was sold by Real Madrid, there is a little sneaky suspicion that Real Madrid like to use their little buyback clauses to make him a few dollars here and there, or euros should we say. And that's the case with Hermoso. He was sold to Espanyol with a €7 million buyback clause, which when you think of it now is extremely cheap. And sometimes I struggle to wonder why these lower down Spanish or other European teams who take players from the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid accept these extremely low buyback clauses. If you're going to sign someone from like Real Madrid or Barcelona who could become really good, why not make the buyback clause at least something like 20 to 30 million and get your money's worth? But these 7 million buyout clauses mean that they really lose money when it comes to it. And if they could be losing arguably a 20, 30 million value player for so much less money than he's actually worth. But what's happening, and you've seen it with Morata. Morata was re-signed by Real Madrid from Juventus and then sold to Chelsea. Something similar could happen here. If Arsenal really step up their interest and look to sign him, Real Madrid might turn around and think, right, let's sign him for 7 million and then sell him off to Arsenal for 20 odd million, which is what the tuted fee has been, and make a quick 13 million profit on nothing, effectively, a player that they didn't even have at the start of the window. So that's something that could happen. It's a complication which could see issues with the transfer, but for a player like 20 million and that price for what he gives you, for me it's an absolute bargain. So I really would be pressing to go out and going and get Hermoso as my personal choice for the centre-back, because he has been a fantastically versatile, energetic and speedy and clinical defender in that Espanyol lineup, which has led them to get European football for the first time in a long time, and he was a huge linchpin in that project. So, as I say always, I don't leave you with just that and think we should get no one else. I always give you some alternative players that we could be looking at. The first one I've already mentioned is Anderson, a player that we've been linked to in a double deal with Dennis Pratt from Sampdoria. He's quick, he's tall, but he doesn't really use his height for his heading. He's strong, he's definitely a presence in that back line, but I still would be favouring Hermoso because of the fact that Anderson likes to step out the defence a lot more than what Hermoso does. Calero, someone else I've written an article about previously, at Real Valladolid. We were linked to him in January, all that hype about him getting a plane to London, all over Instagram. Very young player, a lot of potential, but probably not someone we should be looking at if we really want to bolster our defence to push us into that top 4 next season. And then you got two obviously Premier League options, which might be a little bit out of our price range, not being in the Champions League, but maybe we can stump up some cash for them. The first one is Connor Cody from Wolverhampton, and the second one is Dunk, who is another player that's been really impressive. Not the most impressive name, but certainly a more impressive player on the pitch. So Cody and Dunk, two Premier League options that people might turn their nose at, but we really need that Premier League experience, hence is why I'm so keen on Ryan Fraser. Again, go check out that video from yesterday. So Hermoso, for me, would be my choice for centre-back. There's lots of reasons why I was explaining this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give the video a like. Please subscribe if you're new around here. Turn those notifications on so you never miss a show. And tune in for tomorrow's show about... I'm not actually sure this time who it might be about. I'm going to look at the rumours, I'm going to look at the rumour mill and see which player you might want me to break down. If you have an idea of a player that you might want me to break down, leave it in those comments because I always read through all of them. I try to reply to many of them as possible. And thank you again for listening and tuning in. Hitting 10k subscribers. Let's move on, push on, keep working hard. And I'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.